and the matter shows a losing game.
Alti.tv.
Good afternoon and welcome to the finals of the Australian Youth Ultimate Championships in the boys division. We're coming to you live from Flinders University in Adelaide, South Australia. My name's Max Stenstrom. I'll be keeping you company throughout this match, and I'm joined in the booth by Jonathan Warren-White. Johnny, give us a little bit of a preview on what to expect in this Victoria-New South Wales battle.
Well, we watched these two play yesterday in what was a ripper of a game, actually. Close fought, lots of big plays, lots of great movement. The wind is actually a lot stiller than it was yesterday, just a small breeze coming through, which should open up the play a little bit. These two teams obviously have met each other a number of times over the last few years.
I think they've met up in the last couple of finals, in fact, and Victoria looking to continue that success. They're two on the trot, looking to make it a three-peat. New South Wales, of course, want to play the upset role and get themselves a bit of gold to take home with them. They've been the bridesmaids for the last couple, and a number of their players coming back this year were part of those silver winning teams, and they're looking to go one better this time. So you see them get fired up. The Emus, as they're affectionately known. They recognise the importance of this one and the importance of coming out strong against this Victorian lineup. A very star-studded outfit from Victoria. Victoria, of course, led by Tipman Wong as head coach, and Anthony O'Hagan and Tom Boyle in the assistant coach roles. Both of those two having played on this team in years gone by, and this year too old, but continuing to do work for the Bandicoots as they chase another victory.
A couple of big players per team here, a couple of big disc controllers. I'm really looking forward in particular to looking at the battle between Lochnan from Victoria and John O'Keys from New South Wales. Probably the two most stable handlers from the two teams. Like to control and not make silly errors and really keep their teams moving.
Keys actually complaining of a sore back in the lead up to this one this morning. So we'll see whether he's managed to iron that out in the warm-up or whether that affects and inhibits his movement and play on the field. As you say, crucial in controlling the tempo of the New South Wales offence. Not necessarily always taking the high-risk shots, but always providing an option to keep the disc alive, maintain possession, and keep New South Wales offence flowing. Victoria, however, starting this one on O. New South Wales will initiate the game with the pull. It'll be Tom Butler that gets things underway, the captain of the New South Wales team. Expect to see him play a lot of points for this team this game. The pull sent down the other end, immediately fielded by Lochnan. As we said, he'll do a lot of the handler work, piloting the offense, but they don't waste any time as they look deep to Damon Prendergast. But that throw a little too far out in front by Angus Wicks.
Very, very trigger happy right from the start, Victoria. You'll see that they look like they've set up that zone. They threw a number of different zone looks at New South Wales yesterday. New South Wales were able to go through a couple of them very easily and really struggled against a couple of others. This one looks like it's just a straight pommy, so 4 guys around the disc and 3 further down the field guarding space rather than guarding an individual player.
Tom Butler will do a lot of the handling duties this line as he immediately hammers crossfield to Richard Trang. Comes near side. Edmund Feng does well to keep that in the line. The centre's moving up the field to Noel. Comes near side to Feng. Taking plenty of, I was about to say safe options, but Feng, a little bit of a rush of blood to the head as he looks downfield, and that forehand cut out nicely by Damon Prendergast. And Lochnan will initiate movement again. Finds Flavel. Given plenty of attention by Noel. Lochnan. Marked by Butler. That'll be a matchup that may prove decisive for this match. Fires a forehand into the stack to Nevada Thatcher. And Flavel can't hold on. A simple cold drop. And Trang wastes no time. Flat forehand, finds Feng 2 meters out from the end zone. Noel streaming through, as is Donahue. Doesn't like either of those options. Goes back to Trang. Fakes the forehand, looks back to the centre to Butler. He'll look to slow things down and keep it cool and calm. Noel wide open. Fakes the backhand. I want to make sure of this one. And Damien Feng, two-handed clap catch, secures it. New South Wales open their account with a break. Breaking the offensive serve of Victoria, going up 1-0 out of the gates. The Victorian zone not able to slow them down at all.
Well, having seen it yesterday, New South Wales were obviously ready for it. Maybe talked last night about ways to combat it and get around it. We saw a lot of swinging movement there, and the ability to take a shot, a risky shot, yes, straight through the middle, but you can see if it comes off, it just breaks that defense apart right away. And Victoria was scrambling after that, trying to find their man. And in the end, quite an easy goal for New South Wales.
Was indeed. Noel finding Damien Feng for a 5-meter forehand. They won't make a mistake with that. In our first matchup between these two teams, Tommy Butler barely took a point off the whole match. And we'll see whether that is the approach of New South Wales again. He proved important for them downfield and behind the disc. Very versatile player. Spent this men's season playing with Colony Pillage. Very experienced Div 1 Nationals, and he'll bring that experience to this match right now as the intensity raises, as do the stakes.
And Walker to Prendergast in the middle. Swings across to Lochnan. Thunderboys combining, and Lochnan with a lovely throw to Stefanov. Unable to keep it in. Dumps back to Walker with the jump in for the goal. We saw there a couple of the Thunder Boys who will be heading across to Canada later in the year to represent Australia in the Under-20s Championships. Really showing their connections.
The first 3 passes, all Thunder Boys, as you say. And Stefanov inserting himself into play. He's been deadly downfield for Victoria all weekend long, and you can see why. Combination of great pace, great timing, and a big body makes him difficult to guard. And Lochnan delivers a beautiful forehand to the fat side of the field, showing why he's one of the premier throwers at this tournament. And then Walker, the captain of this Victorian outfit, hopping that one in for the easy score. And that's 1 apiece. Both teams showing their ability with the long shot early. Had a chat to some of the New South Wales coaches before this one, asking whether they've made any adjustments or tweaks following their first matchup against Victoria. And I know they were looking to slow down some of the deep options from Victoria, back them in some of the defensive matchups, but not able to slow down Stefanov there.
We see Keys make his first appearance on the field, so it'll be interesting to see if that back is going to slow him down as he fields the pull.
He centers to Mamutil. Victoria again in a zone. Keys, lovely backhand into space, but it's through the wall, a little far out in front. Neither Mamutil nor Lai could pull that one in. And Prendergast will set up in the dump. And Wicks runs to the disc, looking to move it quickly. Goes fat side forehand break. Wide open receiver in the end zone. Corbin Forsyth left open in an acre of space. And a nice break throw delivers him a goal. Victoria capitalising on a late switch call coming from the sideline for New South Wales. They didn't like the matchup they were getting on Wicks. Wanted Donahue downfield a bit more. And New South Wales maybe caught napping a touch. It's Forsyth wide open on that break side. New South Wales looking to bracket, perhaps. They had a man hanging out in the lane and a man hanging well under the stack.
I think Mamutu got caught in two minds there on the mark. Was trying to stop the inside throw. Short inside throw, but because of that, he let that wide release throw come out, which can just be an absolute killer to the defenders downfield, who are all on what we would call the force side, trying to block any easy pass.
Defensive tactics so often built around careful coordination among all players. You have to rely on each other to cover certain areas of the field and prevent certain throws. And there, Mamutil not quite up to the task of taking away what he was required to take away, which was that around forehand. And Victoria punished New South Wales for that.
Lochnan with the pull. Lovely floaty pull straight to the other end zone. Butler catches it and swings to Walker, who goes back to Butler. Victoria have gone back to this sort of arrowhead formation, putting three people in front of the disc, trying to stop easy passes, but Keys breaks it with a very lovely scuba, but unfortunately New South Wales then with a turnover.
A wayward pass from Ryan, unfortunately not able to complete.
Lochnan picks up the disc, throws a flick to Stefanov, and there is a pick call. On defense, you are not allowed to be impeded of your run by any player, either on your team or the opposition team. And if you get impeded, you are allowed to call a pick, which will stop play immediately. So the disc will return to Lochnan.
Mamutil looking to put on a straight up force here, perhaps wanting to restrict the long shots. Now he comes to a one-way.
Stefanov gets a disc almost in an identical space as he did before the pick call. Dumps to Walker, who goes downfield to Lochnan, who goes to Higgins. Higgins scored a lot of goals in the game we watched yesterday as well. Very fast player, very timed his runs perfectly, and as he showed there.
Speedy receiver with a real sense for scoring goals and the ability to get open in the end zone. He's proved a handful for a number of defenders this weekend. And Victoria extend to 3-1. New South Wales struggling to contain the Victorian offense. In particular, Oliver Lochnan just proving too deadly with disc in hand and too quick to prevent him from getting that disc. And so far he's played a crucial role in a lot of their offense. I imagine New South Wales will be trying to develop some kind of defense that gets the disc away from him and into hands of perhaps some of their newer, less experienced throwers. Though, of course, that's a whole lot easier said than done. Damon Prendergast will take on pulling duties this point, as Victoria will play some defence. New South Wales looking to put this one in the end zone. Combination of tall timber and throwing prowess on this line. Tom Butler, Richard Trang, John O'Keefe will spend time behind the disc, surely. The two Fengs will provide the speed and the quickness. And Ryan and Donahue, the aerial prowess. Butler points downfield. Wants to get things moving, instead comes underneath. Back to the centre, Trang has Edmund Feng coming underneath, chooses not to throw it. Goes far side and gets it straight back up the centre. Victoria not able to slow them down. As Keys moves it to Ryan far side. Damien Feng, just a couple of metres out now. Donahue dancing in space and just dancing a little bit too much there. It's the danger of being indecisive with your movements. Miscommunication throws that one straight out the sideline. And Angus Wicks will pick it back up, marked by Butler. Looks to his dump, Prendergast, marked by Feng. That's a matchup of Thunder Boys. We'll see how that plays out. Great bid by Anthony Donahue. Gets the disc back for New South Wales. We've seen that potential all weekend long. And we see it fully realised there with a nice outstretched effort as Keys picks it back up. Butler poached off in the dump space. Will get the disc. Goes back to Trang up line. Has to go to turf to hold, which he does. Goes that near side. Sneaks one down the line to Edmund Feng. And New South Wales steady the ship and punch one in to take it to 3-2. New South Wales having to work for that one. No easy passes. But in the end, able to cram it down that cram hole. Victoria not able to prevent the open side under. Edmund Feng turning on his pace. He was the winner of the Dulio, I believe, during the women's final. So the fastest man in Australian Youth Ultimate, showing his speed.
Must admit to having a small moment of disappointment in that point. As Victoria made that move up the field, I saw French and Damien Feng both streak deep. And I thought this could be a replay of the battle that we saw yesterday.
And if you haven't seen that battle that we're talking about, I fully recommend you go back and watch the previous match of these two teams. Damien Feng, what would he be, 5'10", 5'8", by no means a tall man. French, on the other hand, well over 6 foot. And Damien got two incredible aerial grabs that are worth watching many, many times.
Here we have Prendergast with the disc, puts one up. And Butler reads it, but is hand blocked immediately by Lochnan.
Butler momentarily drops his head. That's a pretty devastating moment.
Prendergast picks it up again. Elects this time to simply dump it. Oh, and can't hold on. Keys marshals the troops, collects the disc. Swings to Butler. Butler puts it up. Here it is.
Edmund Feng and Stefanov.
No. Oh!
Lots of contact, but no call. I think that's right. The disc was well past them. And Feng never would have had an opportunity to regather.
Good jump and good attempt by both boys there. Stefanov probably worrying Feng out and making him go early. Prendergast with the disc. Double break to Lochnan, who then sends a big disc up.
Feng's in the vicinity, coming
Higgins
from behind.
Feng. Oh!
Lovely block from Edmund Feng. Peels off the back of the stack and gets himself involved.
We can see the danger of that double break throw early on in that play, just leaving Lochnan out there to put any throw he wants up. Lucky for the New South Wales team that Edmund Feng had the heads up to recognise the play in advance and putting the motor on to get there and make the big play.
Linking break passes together towards that break side against the force. Simply devastating against an opposition. Puts all of the defensive players out of place.
Keys with the big throw up to Ryan. And then puts it out for Edmund Feng. Edmund Feng down one end with a score-saving block, and then goes to the other end for the goal himself.
And that's 3 apiece. New South Wales bring it back after going down a couple early. And that's Edmund Feng's second goal. Using that pace of his to great effect. So difficult to contain when you're just simply faster in a straight line than anyone else on the field as he is. It's a lovely shot from Keys. Probably not known as a kind of power thrower, or stand and deliver kind of thrower as he was there. More often known for his technical break throws, quick movement and tempo control, but showing his versatility.
Maybe just showing with a little bit less wind, a bit more confidence in those long throws. Yesterday, the conservative type of handler he was with the windy, blustery conditions. He just wanted to keep the disc alive, didn't want to take the risk. But with throws like that, he's definitely shown himself to be a weapon further down the field than we thought at first.
Indeed, and also demonstrating maturity well beyond his years in recognising the limitations of his throws and adapting to conditions. We saw a lot of throwers in the early stages of this tournament throwing a lot of turnovers as they struggled to adapt. Keys, not one of them, playing well within himself the entire time. And Victoria get things moving quickly into the hands of Lochnan. So devastating. He's been the rock of this Victorian offense. So consistent. And just as I say that, a slightly wayward pass makes it difficult for Walker to regather. And New South Wales have the disc at midfield. 30 metres to go to the goal. And he immediately shoots to the end zone. He has Damien Feng underneath it. It's fat side forehand. Will he keep it in? And he does. That's a great grab as the disc trailed away over his head. And a pinpoint throw from Tommy Butler meant the defence never had a look at that one. And New South Wales has suddenly gone on a 3-point run to take back the lead that they held early in this game.
Victoria are going to have to do something about the two Fengs. They are 2 goals apiece, scoring all the goals for New South Wales at the moment. Both very athletic and both able to get free with pace, but also able to go up high when they need to. It'll be something to watch for the rest of this game.
I think defensively Victoria should look to push them underneath. We've seen both of them maybe guilty of a rushed throw or two yesterday. Not necessarily the coolest heads with disc in hand, but absolutely formidable athletes in the end zone. We'll see how Victoria do look to respond to the threat that they're currently posing. We've got a timeout call by Victoria as they look to reset, recalibrate, and hopefully cut short the New South Wales momentum that was building on the back of a couple of great plays by Edmund and Damien Feng. Tommy Boyle and Tipman Wong providing leadership to the Victorian boys as they chat to their captains. And it seems New South Wales have managed to adjust as well and start generating some turnovers of their own. Putting a lot of pressure on the handling group of this Victorian line. We've seen a couple of mistakes from what are usually their most reliable players. A couple of slightly wayward throws and errant options causing short field turns in the handler space. Perhaps the likes of Damon Prendergast and James Walker not used to the level of pressure that they're receiving from these New South Wales defenders. Both of those players having fumbled a disc so far and given one over to the opposition.
I think this is a good timeout call by Victoria here. Just stop the momentum of New South Wales. You can see that after that last goal, all the New South Wales boys were up. They were celebrating. They were very ecstatic. That's contagious amongst the team. So often a strategic timeout to just calm yourself down, but also to calm the other team down. Can be very advantageous to you. Just go back to talking about your goals as a team, your systems, what you want to run, and making sure that you don't fall into playing the way the other team wants you to play. You always want to play the way you want to play.
And that's probably even more true in this young age group, where so many players on these teams are 16, 17 years old and don't have that, or maybe have less of that mental resilience that you'd expect from a true veteran. Controlling their mental state and their emotional state, very important. Walker with the disc. Great defense from New South Wales. Don't give them a lot of options downfield, as they play a bit of a containment zone look, and now they'll transition into a single coverage match defense. Noel on the mark. Edmund Feng has that crucial Walker matchup. And Damien Feng has Damon Prendergast. Prendergast shoots deep, forehand to the fat side, taking a leaf out of Tom Butler's book. Trying to repeat that last scoring throw, but he can't do it. And Butler will bring the disc up and immediately sends it the other way.
Okay, Walker Feng.
This is fireworks! And both of them misread it, and looks like we've got an injury call. Prendergast was there to clean up the scraps, but Feng has landed heavily. And he looks like he may have hurt his knee, perhaps. I'm not quite sure what's the...
I think he may have banged his head on the ground. Oh, no, it's definitely...
He's limping. And he's applauded off by both teams, and he'll be replaced by Damien Feng. Apologies, Kobe Ryan will replace him. Damon Prendergast remains in possession of the Frisbee. And Kobe Ryan has the difficult task of matching up on Walker. Damien Feng right on Stefanov's hip. Putting a lot of pressure on that catch. Stefanov up to the task. Prendergast can't hold on to that one. It's the second one he's got a hand on and put to turf. And Butler immediately sends it backhand but shanks it out the side. Releases late and pulls it across. Sails well outside the far sideline.
Maybe Butler a little worried without his other handler partner in Keys. Just wants to get it out of that zone and get it down the field.
New South Wales putting a lot of pressure on this point. It feels like they've listed the intensity, as has Victoria, as Walker goes horizontal to maintain possession. Fat side with the flick. Butler's underneath. And he had the best position of all of them, and he comes down with it. Makes Richard Trang work for it, and he can't get there. And now this is the short field opportunity that Victoria's been looking for. And they'll slow things down. Prendergast walking slowly to the Frisbee. Simple vertical stack from Victoria. We'll see how they choose to attack from here. Straight sideways cut. Instead, fat side blade. It's a lovely throw as he finds Higgins in the far side. Showing again how difficult he appears to be to mark in the end zone. Didn't do a lot, but just found himself in an acre of space again.
Second goal for Higgins this game. Both goals caught on the open side. The force side, just using his pace to get there in front of his defender.
Caleb Miller had the difficult assignment of marking him that point. Not able to cover the distance, possibly setting up his buffer a little too big, giving him too much space onto that sideline. And at 4 apiece, looks like it'll be a tight one all the way to the end. It's worth mentioning this is a game to 15 with an 80-minute time cap. Whichever occurs first will dictate the end of this match. And half will be taken at 8. So when one team scores their 8th point, half-time of 5 minutes will occur. And during that half-time, we'll have the women's duelio as we find out who the fastest woman in Australian Youth Ultimate is. As the best of each state will duke it out in an end-zone to end-zone race.
Lochnan with the pull, big outside in pull. Keys fields it. Goes to Mayo, goes back to Keys. Victoria return to this zone look. 4 players around the disc. New South Wales happy to just move it around. Not take anything too risky. Keys with a lovely hammer across. Oh, diving catch. And
it's a goal.
Donahue with the goal.
And also crucially, Damon Prendergast clutching his shoulder after that defensive attempt. And it's his throwing shoulder too. If that proves to be a lasting injury, it will be a massive loss for Victoria. You can see him there sliding in to try and get that D.
As so often is the case when playing offense against a zone, you send 2 people further down the field. We call them deep receivers. Their job is to make sure the fielders, the people out, the defenders are there to be accountable and to actually mark them. And the handlers, in this case, Keys and Lai and Trang did a lot of work. And then the reward went to the deep receivers.
We see Butler back on the field for this point for New South Wales. Interestingly, the different approach that New South Wales seems to be taking this game compared to their earlier match against Victoria, in which it felt like Tom Butler and John O'Keefe played next to every point, whereas here they seem to have, in fact, lengthened their rotation, lengthened their roster, and are sharing the workload a little more. An interesting adaptation, whereas you'd usually expect to see in a final it go the other way and run the star players a lot. But New South Wales having faith in the depth of their roster, which is great to see at this level. And Lockman initiating the movement for Victoria. Marked by Butler. Forehand to the far side. Trang goes very early and probably forces the early jump by the Victorian player as well. Jimmy Vu responding to Trang's early leap. Now Trang will get the disc. Damien Feng immediately goes deep. Inside out forehand. Will it hold its edge and stay in the field? It will not. And it is swatted away, though it sailed well out of bounds first. And that may have been another opportunity given away by New South Wales. Edmund Feng clearly not held back by his earlier injury, back out on the field, playing his characteristic athletic defense. Lochnan, again, wide open. New South Wales can't afford to give him that much space. He will punish them. Gets it back. Shoots deep. Arcing, outside in shape. Over the head of Angus Higgins. And Butler and Trang will get things moving again behind the disc.
Well boxed out there by Thomas Russell from New South Wales.
T-Russ, as they like to call him, one of the youngest players on this field, despite his big stature. Up line to Trang. In power position. Cutters seeming to crowd that far sideline, getting a little messy. Feng, up line again to Trang. Playing offense down a 6-inch lane down that far side, and they are rewarded in the end. They sneak one in to Damien Feng. Showing a complete willingness to cram it down a very tight space. And New South Wales open up a 2-point lead. It's the first time they've had that lead all game. We'll see whether Victoria can respond. So far this game, it's been punch and counter punch as each team have gone back and forth. But as we rapidly close in on half time, we'll see who can maintain the initiative.
New South Wales, I think, have come with a plan for guarding downfield. They seem to be putting a lot of work into Stefanov. They've got people that are paying attention to where he is, and they're bracketing a little bit, which means they're playing someone towards the disc and someone behind him. Yesterday, he really cut them up through the middle, got a lot of the disc, and was a key component of the Victorian movement through that New South Wales defence. So it looks like they've done their homework. They've learnt from their mistakes, and it's paying dividends for them at the moment.
And those dividends are reflected on the scoreboard. And Johnny Keys practices his pulling motion as he gets ready. I'm not sure if you can hear it on the live stream, but the crowd getting behind both teams out there. Big pull from Keys, sails down the other end.
Arnell hammers it across to Prendergast, who goes to Lochnan. Lochnan happy to hold it for a second or two. Goes with a scuba across to Prendergast. Goes to Arnell. Not normally in this handler position, Arnell, but he's doing quite well. Swings it across to Lochnan. Goes back through the zone to Prendergast. Breaks it through to Ryan Samuel, who dumps it to Prendergast. To Lochnan. Throws a scuba. Risky option, and Butler just there to eat it up on defense.
Uses his big frame to protect that disc as he went up for it.
Butler goes to Ryan. Goes to Noel. Rockets a lovely flick up to Walker.
Anthony Donahue whiffs the catch. He had the height advantage. He timed his jump perfectly and got a full hand on it. But now he needs to play some defense.
Prendergast takes a risky option, but throws to the biggest man on the field in French. He takes another risky option.
Redemption!
Throws to the other tallest man on the field in Donahue. Butler now with the disc. Noel, nice little dishy back to Butler, to Ryan, to Keys, and New South Wales are flowing now down the field. Keys sits on it. Nice inside break to Noel, who throws a flick across to Ryan. Ryan puts it up. Donahue snags this one. Dumps to Ryan. Dumps with a break to Keys. Keys throws the flick. Open side to Thomas Russell.
Russell.
The boys get around him. Obviously a fan favourite and a team favourite.
I believe he's the youngest man on their team and nonetheless still one of the tallest. And we also saw Donahue, after that early mistake, dropping what for him is a pretty regulation catch, turned it on, got a nice defensive stop, and then generated offensively. And in the end, T-Russ, as he's affectionately known by his teammates, puts in the goal. And you can see how stoked the rest of his teammates are after that one. We also saw Lucien Noel really step up for New South Wales at that point. They were looking to him to generate a lot of movement downfield. Very softly spoken, quiet young man, but plays with some real ferocity out on the field.
Victoria have called the timeout here. There's an interesting choice, I think, for the Victorian coaches to make. Damien Prendergast is one of their leaders and one of their major players, but he's just in a little bit of a funk now. And so I'm not too sure, Max, do you keep rolling with him, trust in his ability to come out and beat it, or do you just bring him off to the sideline, give him a point or two to just calm himself down and work his way through this in that state?
That's a really tough question, Johnny, and I think it's a challenge for every coach when one of your star players starts to hurt you, starts to make uncharacteristic errors. But I think you need to demonstrate your trust in him. You've got to back talent, and he is obviously very talented. He's a leader on this team for a reason. And I think at the end of the day, you'd still rather the disc in his hands than almost anyone else on that team. You've got to demonstrate your trust in him by keeping him out there. Often a good move can be to put him out on a defensive point, let him focus on his legs, get his feet underneath him, work hard, and continue to contribute that way. But you're absolutely right. He has whiffed a couple that usually would be absolutely regulation for him. He is a real premier talent, but
I think you're right. He's on this line now, and I'm just wondering, he's been back handling a lot. I was thinking along the same lines as you. Get him out there, get him running, get him in the field.
Indeed, we see Loughnan initiate a lot of movement out of the stack. Perhaps there's an opportunity to switch those two roles. Loughnan obviously incredibly capable behind the disc. Start him in the ham roll and initiate through Prendergast might be a good option as well. And maybe they've heard us suggest exactly that. Instead, it's Wicks who comes underneath to get things moving. Now Prendergast initiates movement coming underneath. Doesn't like it. Walker also gets looked off. Loughnan goes up line. Nothing available. Great defense from New South Wales. Forces the desperation. High still count. Huck over the top of everything. Damien Feng putting plenty of pressure on Prendergast in that aerial contest. And Damien Feng, we know, truly a monster when the disc is in the air. Equal height with Prendergast. Unequal ability to fly. And Feng immediately goes deep. Victoria respond with a bracket. And Keys. High release backhand to Mamutil. He's been a big player for New South Wales, providing continuation movement when they need it, and safe options with the disc in hand. He'll have to provide the dump now. Goes up line. Keys delivers. Under pressure, takes it well. Looking to centre, but there's a bit of chaos. Plenty of players in the same space, not making it easy. Edmund Feng provides the outlet. Surveys upfield. Looks to go backwards, but Keys can't provide. Stall count rising. Goes underneath to Ryan. New South Wales again cramming it down this sideline. Would love to see them play with a bit more width, but they're really struggling to get it towards this camera side of the field. Forehand looking for Butler, or perhaps Noel. That one halfway in between. Butler clutching at his hand, not comfortable. Perhaps he got trod on, not sure, but play will restart. He knows he can't afford to come off this field if New South Wales are to continue to be successful. They come near side to Walker. Marked by Keys. Great matchup between those two. Stefanov comes underneath, as he has so often for this Victorian team. Loughnan look to give go movement. New South Wales really upped the defensive intensity. They shoot deep. Prendergast wide open and whiffs another one and kicks the ground in disappointment. He knows that should have been a goal. We know that should have been a goal. And not only that, but the rest of his team does as well. What kind of impact does that have on a team, Johnny, when one of your star players starts to make mistakes like that?
It's tough, and we saw him kick the ground in frustration. I think Prendergast, you can be frustrated in yourself, but he needs to now not show it, because if he's showing that frustration, his team are going to see that, and they're going to also drop their heads.
And as the captain of a leadership player on this team, that leadership is so important. As you say, big bid, not enough. But it looks like the rest of this Victorian team looking to up the ante themselves. Hammer from Keys far side, look for Ryan. We'll change the angle of attack. Looks good. Butler in the centre, points and delivers. Edmund Feng underneath. He's marked by Forsyth, rocking the Legionnaires cap despite the overcast day.
Oh, Walker with another huge bid.
He's really trying to step up for this team. And Butler fakes the hammer, marked by Loughnan. Goes up line for Noel, but it's too far out in front. And Damon Prendergast gets it back. He's still got something left in the tank for his team. He'll centre. So often as well, when you're frustrated with yourself, you look to redeem yourself with a hero shot. Prendergast goes deep. Big arcing forehand outside in, comes back in, but well out in front.
And it may be a foul call.
Looks like the disc will come back to Angus Wicks. And he'll have a bit of a chat with John O'Keefe about the physical attention that he was receiving. The rule around the foul will be clarified by Steve Baker, our head game advisor, if they need his assistance. He, of course, can also provide his perspective, but cannot make a binding decision. That's totally up to the players. And we'll have another peek at it.
Oh, definitely a foul.
Definitely a foul from our perspective. And on the replay, Keys moving sideways across, leading with the left foot, initiating the contact. And they'll continue to discuss exactly what happened. It's very rare that the foul is not rightfully called in that position because the defender has to be totally stationary. They'll get things set downfield, and the disc will come back in on zero as the call was uncontested.
Wicks has Prendergast there in an acre of space.
And Keys does well to contain that initial huck option. Lochnan, Butler giving him plenty of attention, forcing a difficult throw from Lochnan. Into the ground, another top play for Victoria, making a relatively unforced error, just turfing a pretty regulation 10-15 metre throw. And Keys will pick up. Fakes the inside, centres to Butler. Looks for the give-go. He'll receive it back. Holds it under pressure. They're tightly marked. Floaty one over the top. A second bidding effort from Kobe Ryan. Will not keep it alive. But players on both teams clearly very willing to put their bodies on the line, throw themselves around. Underneath shot to Wicks. Wicks looks downfield. Launches a forehand, but it comes out awfully out of the hand. Turns over, fielded by Ryan. Moves it quickly back the other way. Keys fakes the big. Wicks goes to turf. Butler now with the disc. Can he inject some veteran cool and calm into this offense? It feels frantic from both sides. Instead, he launches it down the other end. Edmund Feng in pursuit, fastest man in Youth Ultimate. Can't get there.
We're really starting to see, this has been a very long point, we're starting to see the legs go on some of these players. The throwers just want the point to be over, so we're starting to see some big throws to tired legs. Often a cycle of turnover after turnover in situations like this.
It appears we have a stoppage, an injury call perhaps by the hand signal being mirrored by our game advisors. 2 hands behind the head means an injury has occurred. Not sure quite on who.
Flavel seems to be the Victorian who has stepped onto the field.
He's been a big piece in their offense. We'll see whether he can provide that flow and continuation.
Maybe Walker that's gone off.
Stefanov comes underneath. Dish to Prendergast. Prendergast back underneath to Wicks. This is looking like flow. Flicks a forehand down the line. Too far out in front of Higgins. It was a tight window to throw into. A narrow channel and Mamutil right on his heels. But New South Wales will have to take it the full 70 yards if they want to take half.
New South Wales playing a much calmer offensive game throughout this game so far. Victoria looking rushed every time they get the disc. They just want to score quickly, maybe feeling the scoreboard pressure a little bit. Recognising
that really the ball is in their court. If they want to win this game, they need to make some stops and they need to get some goals. Mamutil taking the safe option, going backwards. Butler has to push a difficult scuba, but finds Keys. An inside forehand that floats over the top. Oh! Huge impact between Lucien Noel and Edmund Feng.
They get up and shake it off.
Lochnan wastes no time, no hesitation, picks it up, looks to restart, shoots a forehand. There's plenty of players underneath. Keys, Ryan, Butler. And Ryan will get the block, but will get a call from Wicks. And they'll have to chat about this one.
And it's retracted. Wicks has retracted the call.
Showing great maturity, I think. Probably the right decision. And John O'Keefe once more. Get things moving for New South Wales. Big crossfield flick, opens up the angles. Butler moves downfield. Would have been a great opportunity to shoot in power position. The stack's very deep. Both Fengs a long way away from the frisbee. And again, New South Wales force it down the near side.
Ryan's free.
Oh, and a hand block from Oliver Lochnan. Prendergast. Backhand to Wicks
Backhand
underneath.
to Wicks.
Mamutil on the mark, slows things down. Stall count rising, goes hammer over to the near side. Higgins, Keys right underneath it, punches it out of the hands and a foul call. And the discussion will be, was the disc in his hands when Keys made contact with it? We get another look.
I'm not entirely certain Keys could have made that play without the contact there.
It's a good point. Higgins went almost straight vertically up, which is his right to do so, and Keys was closing the distance between them. And they can, of course, receive perspective from their teammates on the field or on the sideline if they choose. But it looks like they'll resolve it. And it's a contested call, which means the disc will go back to the thrower on the far side. I'm not certain what the stall count was, but it appeared high.
Would have been very high.
And it looks like it's coming in on 6 or 7, judging by the game advisor's hand signal. And has to throw a floaty one onto the top middle of the stack. Stefanov underneath it. And it's pulled down by Keys, moves it to Butler. He has Edmund Feng going long, but he doesn't like the option. Keys works hard to go up line. Can't get it, has to fake the around. Stall count rising, desperation Huck. Lucien Noel, Oliver Lochnan. Lochnan, apologies, too good. And wants to get things moving quickly. If ever there was a time to take a midpoint timeout, this may be it. As both teams frantic, struggling to complete passes and link together good offensive flow. Prendergast underneath the Stefanov. Lochnan, Prendergast. Two Thunder players linking up together. New South Wales, tired legs, sees the defense sag off and more space up open up for Victoria if they can take it, if they can work for it. Lochnan, players all over the end zone, nothing even vaguely resembling a stack. Goes backhand around, and he has
Wicks
in the end zone for the goal. And an exhausted spike by him. And Victoria stay alive, live to fight another day at 7-5.
A marathon point there, Max. A lot of tired legs moving back to the stack. A couple of boys on haunches. It'll be interesting to see how many changes they make. Will we see fresh, completely fresh lines?
Seems unlikely as I look down at the New South Wales line. Keys straight to the line, standing there ready to play another. Down the other end, Stefanov still on the field. Lochnan still on the field. So it looks like Wicks and Prendergast will take a moment to catch their breath. That goal for Victoria, halting a 3-point run by New South Wales. Those massive marathon points, often momentum shifters. We'll see how things play out from here. We saw Victoria lose their offensive structure as their legs grew heavy underneath them. Maintaining your discipline in your structures, so crucial, especially when you're tired. A disciplined offense conserves your energy, as it usually only dictates that a single cutter be really working at a single time.
Towards the end though, New South Wales legs also fell away. We saw Stefanov get 2 key discs, dead centre of the field. and able to break through that defense, showing his importance to this Victorian offense. Lucknan with the big pull. Fielded by Keys. Goes to Trang. Goes across to Lai.
Victoria playing a zone defense, and it generates a turn quickly in the center of the field.
Lucknan with no mark. Keys comes up on him. Lucknan puts it up to French, who takes a nice grab, watching his feet all the way in. And Victoria with a quick break.
Indeed, a defensive conversion takes it to 7-6. New South Wales' 3-point lead suddenly reduced to 1. Victoria on the ascendancy there, get a cheap turnover generated by their junk defense look, their containment zone look, and now New South Wales have to respond, have to get an offensive hold. And that marathon point earlier means we're now approaching just 27 minutes left in this match, under half an hour to go. And we haven't even had half time yet. So it's worth noting that when the hooter goes for full time at 80 minutes, we will finish the point that's being played, add 1 to the highest score on the board, and that will be our new points target. It's looking increasingly likely that won't be 15. As both teams duke it out in this hard-fought men's final at the Australian Youth Ultimate Championships. New South Wales clearly very hungry for every possession and every goal. They want to end Victoria's dominance in this division and get some gold to take home.
Have definitely put a strong offensive line on New South Wales, obviously recognising the importance of taking this point to half. If they score this or take half, they get offense again straight after half.
Victoria playing a arrowhead front 3 formation, leaving space in behind, which New South Wales takes advantage of there with the crossfield hammer. It forces the disc to the sidelines. Another big hammer crossfield, and this time it's read well, and Wicks gets the block. Clearly recognising what New South Wales was looking for after that first one, and adjusting his positioning slightly and baiting it, and in the end coming down with the disc about 25 out from the goal. Prendergast throws the hammer, doesn't want to waste time going underneath, and Wicks underneath it. Bookends for Angus Wicks. And he takes it to 7s. It's game on in the New South Wales Victoria boys gold medal match. Moments ago it was 7-4, and now it's Galaxy Point, as the winner of this one will take half.
Good to see Prendergast still willing to take those shots. We've talked about how he was in a funk, but the last 2 plays he's made have been a big block to save a goal, and now the big hammer for an assist. So it's great to see a talented player like he is get himself out of that hole, and now he'll start to assert himself, I think, in this game.
Showing some real resilience, as you say, to play himself back into the game. Started with that defense, as we talked about, got a block, got his confidence back, and then delivered with the disc. All-star lineups for both teams at this point. Both want to take half.
I would love to see New South Wales maybe send Butler into the field for this point. Get him down, get Keys behind the disc, see if they can isolate Butler, and then make use of his throw from closer to the end zone. Having said that, it doesn't look like that's what we're going to see.
And Victoria again in this zone defensive look.
It looks like a strip call.
Looking like Victoria's playing a 2-4-1. 2 defenders marking their handlers, 4 in the centre of the field, sitting underneath the cutters, and then 1 big boy at the back, patrolling the air lanes, James French.
Arneal on the mark for Victoria. Second sport, as I said earlier in the previous coverage, second sport he's represented the state in, as he's played hockey. And a wonderful grab by Tom Butler. Victoria playing once again with a sort of loose match defence. New South Wales going through it. Back to Keys. Gets it to Noel.
The pressure building.
Noel throws a flick, unable to connect to Feng. Lachlan marshals his troops, gets Stefanov in his dump position, and hits Arneal, who then throws a lovely flick down the line. Oh, a great diving effort by James French, but unable to connect.
When you're that tall, it's a long way down to retrieve those discs at your bootlaces. Not able to get there in time.
Keys starts his play to Trang. Hits Feng. Back to Trang, who gets to Keys, who puts a high one up to Donahue and Lachlan. Donahue, does a good job of working Lachlan under the disc, but is unable to snag it at the end. Lachlan, no worries about any injury, just runs it straight up. Goes to Flavel.
New South Wales scrambling to get their defence back on.
Flavel stuck with the disc here on the sideline. Throws up to Lachlan. And Kobe Ryan makes a wonderful
Stall out call, and it looks like it'll be uncontested. Of course, the disc cannot be held for more than 10 seconds. In that case, it was, which means New South Wales will take the disc.
Keys
20 metres out.
Keys walks to the disc. Very interesting pivoting style from Keys. Quite unique that I've seen. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for him that way as he's got a hand block. And Lachlan sends it to the man who got the block. It's a big contest in the air.
Arneal!
Can't get there. We had French flying across the front of the stack. Arneal flying at the back of the stack. Unable to score the goal for Victoria. Feng with the disc on the far sideline. Flick up to Butler. Quickly moves it to Noel.
Second effort.
Can't manage to reel it in. And we look like we have another marathon point on our hands. Lachlan runs to the disc. Big swing.
Hand block by Lucien Noel. Just when his team needed it, redeems his earlier drop and gets the disc back.
Butler within distance of the end zone. Throws the hammer, winds it up. Feng! Too good at the read. Just kind of lost Ryan Samuel there. And New South Wales take the half.
And what a way to do it. Tom Butler, absolutely fearless. Continues to pepper the end zone with his big throws. Launches a hammer, sees Edmund Feng get free at the back of stack in a little bit of space as his defender sagged off. As we have another look at that great hand block earlier on Keys. And New South Wales steady the ship and come down with half 8-7 after a number of incredible plays from both teams. Don't go anywhere. We'll have the women's duelio momentarily. In the meantime, we'll take a short break.
Is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire, 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 fire.
And we are back. I'm joined now by Angus McDonald in the commentary booth. How's the game going so far, Angus?
Oh, it's stressful, Jonathan. My heart's racing out there.
We're about to see the duelio. Classic Australian tradition in a grand final. Got a favourite, Angus?
Team New South Wales, so any of them.
You see the Victorian out to a quick lead.
Oh,
Both of them.
And tracked down by a teammate.
Do we have a winner?
Couldn't split him.
Vic with a winner. Well, as we see the girls high five their celebrations. Angus, first half, very impressive start by New South Wales.
Explosive start, yeah. That's what we were coming out to do. Just start really strong, try and hold the lead. A few really crucial points in there as well. I think that we just didn't quite get that 7-4 would have been 8-4 to take half, but happy with where we are at the game at the moment.
Well, you get offense now as well, out of the half. Is that
right?
correct? I believe you started with a break to start the game.
Sounds
so
good to me.
Double break opportunity, which would be excellent for you. We watched you yesterday, and there's definitely been some changes we've noticed in the way you've played.
There has been a shift in the tactics. I'll reveal them to you because I don't think Vic will be listening to the live stream. They have a couple of really strong handlers who are trying to force away from the frisbee, and we're trying to force everyone else under, to try and make those shots really difficult. And I think it's been working for us.
It has been working. There's been a 5 or 6 I can just count off the top of my head where they've overshot those deep shots coming from the pressure. You seem to have also rushed Victoria a fair bit.
Yeah.
They look very rushed. You're obviously putting a lot of pressure on those handlers when they get the disc. So it's working very well.
I should jump back in the huddle, but thanks for having me.
No, excellent.
And welcome back to the second half of the boys' final here at the Australian Youth Ultimate Championships. We had a bit of a chat with Angus McDonald, the coach of the New South Wales boys, about what they've been doing and how they feel it's going, and they're pretty happy with things. And at 8-7, you can't blame him. It's a tight match, and they're in the driver's seat of that game. New South Wales looking to break the Victorian streak of wins. Victoria trying to make it 3 in a row, back to back to back.
Looking at our stats that we've collected during the first half, Victoria has to do something about the Feng boys. 6 of the 8 New South Wales goals have been scored by those two alone, with 3 apiece. Obviously the targets they're looking to isolate in the end zone.
They're just both so quick. It'll be a struggle for Victoria to find an effective one-on-one matchup with them. As New South Wales move it to Mamutul. Lasers a forehand outside in, and that'll roll out the far side.
Uncharacteristic mistake by Mamutul, who has been rock solid throughout this whole tournament as a primary undercutter for them.
Usually very reliable, and that one gets away from him a little. He now has the defensive task of marking Walker. Very important layout block!
But makes up for it with a huge layout block.
Makes up for it and then some. What a great play by Jarvan Mamutil. Goes back to Keys. All sorts of physical attention from Ollie Loughnane, and they'll have a chat about it. This whole sideline standing there in front of them watching as they'll have a chat. Love that they're doing the old reenactment. Whose hand was where? There are a couple of game advisors over there, but of course the initiative stays with the players. If they're not interested in hearing the game advisors, they don't have to. Now they look to them for a perspective. New South Wales with a vertical stack downfield with a couple of players out in the lane. They'll look to clean that up and just have one cutter at a time. As both players decide it's best to send it back, they can't come to an agreement and the call will be contested. Mutil regains possession and the stall will come back in on 2. And Keys this time makes sure of it. And we've got a violation. Players started moving before they should have. And again, Mutil regains possession. They're about 25 yards out from the end zone. Keys, marked by Loughnane, will be the first look again, and he gets it. His first couple of steps very, very quick. High release backhand across the field. Taken well by Ryan. Back to Keys. Ryan immediately goes up line. Keys, high release forehand to break the mark. Ryan lasers a forehand to Anthony Donoghue, sliding into the front corner of the end zone. And New South Wales open the second half strong, the way they finished the first. And at 9-7, Victoria have work to do.
Mamutil having an up and down point, but definitely making it count when it matters the most. A huge layout block that we're about to see across in front of the streaking free Victorian player. Those sorts of plays that can win you matches.
And he may well just be doing that for New South Wales as we speak. New South Wales clearly having learnt from their earlier matchup against the Victorians, making adjustments that are paying them dividends now in terms of generating turns when they need them. And rotating their players a little more freely to ensure that they have fresh legs on the field to play the kind of defense that they need to get the disc off this talented and disciplined Victorian line.
Big pull by Butler allows his zone to set. New South Wales electing for the zone. Lochnan goes across with a scuba. Prendergast now in the middle of the field. Back to Wicks. Wicks stuck with the disc here, can't seem to get it off. Prendergast to Lochnan. Eyes for the end zone. I'd like these handlers just to swing it a bit more. Prendergast takes it in front of Feng. Goes back to Prendergast. Lasers it through. And that is a goal to French. Victoria go straight through New South Wales zone.
We saw Victoria there find success when they're able to link passes together, move the disc sideways, be it around or over the cup, and then gain ground before the defense could form in front of them. We saw it when the big hammer came. They were able to make meters up this near side, and then following the swing to Prendergast, he found the incisive forehand to French in the end zone.
Having said that, a couple of very close bids. One big hand on D that's still connected by New South Wales. So not a bad look for them. Definitely generated the opportunities that they want. It's just about capitalising on them. And that will come if they keep generating those opportunities.
Pressure is a crucial part of any defensive strategy for a team, and it's a process that's built upon across the course of a game. As you build that pressure, the mistakes will eventually come and you will be rewarded with turnovers from the opposition. It's just a case of continuing to build that pressure, stay tight on every pass, and trust in the process that it will eventually deliver the results. As Walker sends up a pull, gets the wrong edge on that one, and that'll drift out of bounds.
Seen that a number of times this tournament from a lot of different teams. That big inside-out backhand from that edge of the field that's just gone out that far sideline.
Pulling, probably an underrated skill sometimes. Giving a real advantage to a team if they're able to take the disc from the brick mark without the chaos of the defense still moving downfield. This time we see a zone look from Victoria. This arrowhead again that will force the disc to the sidelines. And Mutul doing well to hold on. Lochnan and Walker patrolling that area just behind the front three, trying to prevent anything through. New South Wales happy to go sideways, wear out the defense, making them run a lot. Not necessarily gaining ground though. If New South Wales are patient enough to continue to do this, holes will open up. As Mamutil moves into that handling space now. Centres back to Butler. Goes with the scuba over to Keys. Wanting to push the tempo a little now. One of the characteristics of great handlers is the ability to inject and control tempo into a team. They can be calm and slow as, and then instantly turn up the pace, as Keys does now, look to give go and catch the defense napping. We see New South Wales swing it to the near side now with Mamutil. And you can already see the Victorian legs just lose a little bit of energy, no longer flat out sprinting to every pass. And the holes will come. This entire time they've made a total of about 2 or 3 meters forwards. High release backhand to Keys. Butler seemed to have a bigger appetite for risk than Keys so far. Not necessarily a bad thing. You do need risk takers because that's how play is often generated, especially at this level. High release backhand from Keys to the far side. Keep things moving. So far, no attention at all really given to downfield options by New South Wales. No more than a cursory glance. As I say that, Mamutil fires one through to Ryan under pressure. He does well to hold on. And Keys goes back to Butler. Of course, the question is here, is wearing out these front three from Victoria worth the amount that it's wearing out Butler, Mamutil and Keys, three of the stars of this New South Wales team?
Not a lot of downfield movement from the New South Wales cutters. It's what's forcing these handlers to have to do a mountain of work here.
And Mamutil injects some pace. The give-go movement at the back is nice, but as you say, it'll be good to see a little connection between the handlers and the cutters. There's a big gulf between the two. Only Ryan in that space at the moment, and he's not able to offer a lot, as both Lockman and Walker share the duties of containing him. But now New South Wales gets some forward movement, but it's immediately arrested. The angle changes. They find Ryan in the centre to Keys. Now New South Wales are off to the races. But again, Keys happy to slow down the pace and change the angle. And Butler points and directs traffic.
New South Wales have done a good job of being calm and collected with this point. I'd hate to see them get close to the end zone now and have a rush of blood. Which is often the case when you've worked it for so long.
Lefty high release backhand. Love it. Yummy. And Butler with the disc. Keys now. The arcing backhand. Huge bid from James Walker. And Keys gets it back. Lie, cool under the pressure. As I speak, that was the horn to indicate time cap has been reached. So we'll finish this point. Add one to the highest score, and that will be our new time cap. And Oliver Lockman
comes through. Keys is called. It looks like there's going to be an injury.
Clearly caught him on the way through. And they'll have a chat about a foul call. New South Wales played it cool for so long. Their maturity and composure, admirable. But in the end, Ollie Lockman able to read the play, see what was coming and get involved. They will, of course, have a chat about the contact that occurred as Oliver Lockman came through.
I'd like to see the replay. It certainly looked like a clean block from here. This is so often the case. You sometimes miss.
Did look pretty clean on that replay. Small amount of contact on Keys, though. Lockman appeared to have position in front by that point.
Looks like it might be a contested foul call. Feel Lachlan got there.
So do I. But they will send it back, as is their right under the rules. Kobe Ryan with the disc again. The call from Tom Butler on the field, we'll work it in, we'll work it in. They want to keep being patient. Keys will get it back. Having to lose ground to maintain possession. Swings, Kobe Ryan, lots of pressure. Walker goes horizontal again, and Ryan holds on and retrieves his hat and centers the disc. Walker showing his athletic threat a couple of times now, leaving his feet, having a couple of great sniffs on defense.
3 or 4 by my count, this point alone.
He's really a defensive playmaker with the ability to just manufacture blocks. Something that is truly invaluable. Give go up this near sideline. Keys, backhand, gets it back immediately. They approach the end zone now, less than 10 meters out. Swings and changes the angle.
Oh,
Huge scuba. Speaking of rushes of blood to the head, it's retrieved by New South Wales. They'll dump back to Keys. Sebastian Varela keeps his cool, as does Keys. Butler perhaps did not for a moment as he threw a huge scuba. Would love to see them maintain this maturity and composure the whole way up the field. So close, yet so far, and again they'll go backwards to maintain possession. I wish we'd been tracking possession count this point. It would be getting high. Finds Mamutul in a bit of space underneath. He goes crossfield to Ryan. Players flood that near side. You can see the exhaustion on the face of Min Boy. This front three for Victoria covered a lot of meters this point. And Keys, he's still fresh. He's up to the task. Needs to maintain possession now. Butler closes in to provide the easy option. Comes far side to Ryan. Has Donahue in the center. Thinks about it. Puts it back in the holster where it belongs. Butler, back to Keys. Keys to Ryan. They want to make absolutely certain of this one. They know that if they go up 10-8, and Ryan, does he keep that alive? Bobbles 2 or 3 times. What do you think, Johnny?
I think it bounced. I think it bounced out of his hands and he caught it on the ground.
We'll see again. It just whiffs it out of the hand. Off his hand, off his chest, off his right hand, off his left hand. Dives to the ground.
Yeah.
Looks down to me on the camera. The sideline over here also indicating their thoughts. But they'll have a chat out there on the field. Of course, it's up to the players on the field to make the call. The replays seems to indicate down, however. New South Wales had done so well to maintain possession for so long. And things had really started to stagnate, however. Weren't able to make meters. A defensive look like this is most effective in a small space. So the closer that they get to the end zone, the more effective it can be.
And it's another contested call.
Which means it'll go back to, well, to Ryan himself, because he threw that pass. But he almost regathered. It'll be on 5. At some point, you feel like the frustration will get to New South Wales and they'll have to take something risky. That's not to say it won't work. But they will have to attempt a few more aggressive options. We've seen very little involvement from Sebastian Varela and Anthony Donahue at the back. Perhaps one of them to come in and flood this underspace may be effective. Mamutul takes it well above his head, keeps it in. Keys doesn't want the swing. Takes a couple, finally gets it to Butler. High release backhand to Mamutul again. He's found some nice space in behind a couple of times now. We'll see whether he can continue to do that. Donahue and Varela picking up their work rate at the back, and Keys turfs it. The pressure mounts, and Victoria's patience and hard work pays off. We'll see what happens now as Lockton finally gets his hands on the disc. Goes up line in power position. Has Stefanov. Huge forehand to the fat side. Keys in pursuit. And they both go up far too early. And the disc will sail over their head. And it looks like a call on the play. Stefanov not happy with the physical attention he received from Keys.
Definitely a number of times now Keys has gone very physical on some players. Ooh, definitely bumped him under the disc. Not too sure if Stefanov was going to get there.
And it looks like the call's retracted. Keys will get the disc, and Victoria immediately set the same zone look. We'll see you in 15 minutes, about 25 metres up the field. As Keys will look to get things going and maybe calls a timeout. A lot of players on both sides will be happy about that. And in that timeout, what would you be saying to the New South Wales offense? Do you just try and do the same thing, or do you
I think you need to
loosen up a little?
You need to gather the downfield players. So Varela and Donahue, as you said, not doing a whole lot out there. I think they're playing it more like a traditional zone, so they're trying to stay wide, but they're not recognising that out the back there, Victoria's actually manning them, kind of one-on-one or matching them. So they're out there, they're not that useful. I'd probably get maybe move into a horizontal set with those four cutters, or a vertical, and just have them cut like normal and see how that works for a little bit. Just see how they go, because you've got the three Victorians in front of the disc, so you should have enough space to kind of double team the Victorians out in the field.
Yeah, overload one area of the field with a couple of cutters.
Yep.
And hopefully the single defender won't, or will have to make a decision. And then you can take the other option left open. Of course, Victoria will be very happy with their defense. It's a containment zone. It's not meant to be aggressive. It's not meant to generate blocks.
I think also Victoria a bit unlucky with two calls not going their way, but spirit of the game, people having their own perspective. What was great to see was that they weren't arguing about it. They weren't getting angry at each other. They just got on with it and kept playing. And that's fantastic maturity that we're seeing in our youth ultimate players of this year, which is fantastic.
It is indeed. And I know it's been a big part of the coaching staff for both of these teams, placing a strong emphasis on spirit and respect of each other and respect of the opposition. And it's very impressive to see that's being maintained even in this 9-8 gold medal match at Youth Nationals, where everything's on the line and the competitive juices are really flowing.
Will be interesting now to see if Victoria go with that same look, or will they try and throw something different at them now that New South Wales have had a time to reassess and talk tactics.
Interesting setup we've got here from New South Wales. Kobe Ryan sitting in short and Eric Lai sitting very wide and rather deep for what you'd consider a popper or a midfielder in a zone offensive look. Obviously that back four for New South Wales having done a huge volume of work. We get an injury call almost immediately following that timeout from Min Boy. He's done a mountain of work in the front three. And Damon Prendergast will take his place. See whether his injection of fresh legs and athleticism can generate something for Victorians. Especially in this short field position, New South Wales will very much not want to turn over the disc.
New South Wales cutters are now being directed by their coaches where to go. So obviously something they did want to talk about in their huddle.
You can see the effect of a timeout on the legs of both teams. The pace has picked back up. Defense look a little more energetic, a little more enthusiastic. Really hustling when the disc moves to respond. I would love to see New South Wales take a gamble at this point. A short field turnover would be devastating for them. As we see here, the high risk moments. Tamutul finds it. Release valve to Lai. Lai will shoot deep.
It up.
Donahue underneath it. Puts out the right hand and puts it to ground. We spoke of how good John O'Keefe has been for New South Wales this game. Donohue's had a couple of missed opportunities. Ryan, very early. Keys as well. Goes too early. Prendergast goes to ground behind, and he'll have a bit of a chat about it as he, again, not happy with the attention that he's receiving physically.
So he turned, he recognised that it was sailing over his head, and just as he turned, I think Keys kind of collided with him. It's really now up to Damien Prendergast to make that decision. Could he have made that bid on the disc sailing on? But he was definitely impeded on making that play.
See the shot from Ollie Lochnan. It's a nice looking forehand. Ryan goes very early, never really involved. Keys goes up, comes straight back, almost straight back down, to be honest, from my view. Moving slightly across. Small bump on Prendergast as he turns.
While we were watching the replay, it looks like it is a contested foul call. It comes back to Lochnan on a stall count of 2.
Mutual will mark Lochnan. Keys downfield. An interesting choice for probably the shortest man on there. Like to see someone like Butler or Mamutul himself in that deep space. And now Walker with the disc. Faking, working hard. Butler putting a lot of pressure on the mark. Bounces off Prendergast's chest, but he regathers. Marked by the big, long-limbed Anthony Donohue. Lochnan fakes the big. Mamutul sticking tight to him. Walker, lovely two-handed pancake layout. Goes up line. Lochnan pops up, gets a fingertip on it. Higgins smacked out of the way by Kobe Ryan.
He's called a strip, I believe.
And it was very close to the naked eye. It's worth remembering that time cap went during this point, so we'll finish this and add 1 to the highest score and play to that. So you see again, Higgins. Oh, he definitely gets hands on that. The question will be whether he stopped the rotation of the disc and gained control of it. It is at that point that it is considered a catch.
As we see again, Walker just not afraid to put himself on the ground.
Definitely gets 2 hands on it. Ryan definitely makes contact with the disc after that point. It is very, very tight. I would not want to make a decision from here. They'll have a chat and they'll speak to the game advisors as well for clarification on the rules. And it looks like it'll be sent back. Not entirely surprised. That was very, very close.
Walker with a very athletic catch of the returning throw. Jumped up, stuck his hands behind his legs and caught it.
And after a 10-minute point like this, I can't believe he's got that much spare energy.
Boy is an absolute bundle of energy.
An Energizer Bunny on the field. Marked by Butler. Lochnan marked by Mamutul. Goes straight back up line. Varela has the difficult task of marking Angus Wicks. Forehand to the end zone. He's got a bunch of players underneath it. Higgins! Safe hands this time. And that's a goal. A huge 15-minute long point, or 17-minute long point, I should say. Takes it to 9 apiece. Takes it to Universe Point. The next team to put a goal in the end zone will walk home with a bronze this evening. A gold, apologies. And the momentum shift of a 15-minute marathon point cannot be underestimated. And it looks like New South Wales will call a timeout. Not surprised by that. I imagine a similar set of 7 back out there for this final offensive push. Nothing worth saving legs for now. If there's energy in the tank, it needs to be used. What do you say now, Johnny, as a New South Wales team?
Oh,
You had a lead, Victoria pulled it back.
you just went through an absolute marathon of a point where they must have strung together close to 70, 80 passes moving the disc slowly inching their way towards that end zone. And they just weren't able to put it in. Do you say, right now you just don't know what Victoria's going to throw at you. So I think you've just got to, again, go back to those main players. This is where you're hoping Keys, Butler, Mamutil, Ryan all start to step up. I'd like to see both Fengs on the field in this point as well. I think their athleticism and their ability to both beat the defenders with pace and with jumping is too big of a weapon to leave off.
We've seen that on the scoreboard already. As you say, they scored 6 of the team's goals this game already. And I think if Victoria do play that containment zone again, I'd like to see Victoria look to turn up their tolerance for risk just a touch. Dumping and swinging, obviously very important when that's the best option on the field. But just looking to be a little more incisive through his centre and maybe put a little more effort into generating good options in that space. Before, it just felt like there were 4 players really getting the disc. Having another popper insert themselves into that midfield region may help overload the defenders in there and open up some more options. And who do we have on the line now for New South Wales? It'll be John O'Keys, it'll be Tom Butler, Mamutil, Trang, Edmund Feng, Anthony Donahue and Kobe Ryan. I'm impressed that they've maintained faith in a lot of those players. Donahue had a couple of drops that point.
And for Victoria, we have Wicks, Stefanov, Prendergast, Flavel, Arneal, Lochnan and Walker.
And this is it. The sideline senses the gravity of the moment and they turn up the volume. Both teams recognize that this is it and Lochnan will launch the final pull of this game.
Keys and Butler share it amongst each other. Victoria have gone to a Pommy zone. Keys breaks it straight away to Feng with a hammer. Goes across to Trang. Swings it to Keys. Calm and collected. Goes to Trang.
This is it for these teams. Mamutil, nice grab under pressure.
Sydney get it back to Butler in the middle of the field. Goes with a pass to Ryan. Oh, had Donahue in front open. Dumps it to Keys instead. Back to Ryan. Keys now, they're just trying to work it up this sideline. Small little one to Butler, who goes back to Keys. Swings it across to Ryan. To Trang, almost a miscommunication. Trang throws a big swing, break swing to Keys. Goes to Butler. Meter out from the end zone. Back to Keys. This Victorian defense doing a good job of staying flat. And Trang.
And that's
Trang
it!
Jumps it in!
That's the gold! That's the glory! New South Wales are the Australian Youth Ultimate Champions!
Wow, 3rd year in a row, and third year that they have a chance of getting it, and they finally knock over this Victorian team. The Victorian players looking a little dejected, but lining up to give a handshake to the New South Wales boys.
Pure ecstasy for New South Wales. For many of those players on that final point, this result has been years in the making. Keys, Butler, Ryan, Mamutil all been here before and have all gone home disappointed in the past, but not this time. This time they will go home with gold in their eyes and gold around their necks. And it'll be Victoria that will return with silver. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Australian Youth Ultimate Championships. Sticking with us on the Ultimate Australia YouTube channel all weekend long. as we've brought you some incredible ultimate from the youth of Australia. I've been Max Stenstrom, and I've been joined by Jonathan Warren White in the booth.
It's been an absolute pleasure, the last game of the tournament, and what a game to finish it with.
Indeed it was. What a hell of a weekend. Thanks for sticking with us. It's been volcanic.
Alti.tv